Welcome today to Moatti, founder of Products That Count, the most influential product accelerator platform, well, in the world, and founding partner at Moatti Capital. Welcome, Essie.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I was having a look through, doing obviously a bit of research before this, and I saw that Andrew Chen, general partner at Andreessen Horowitz, called you a, quote, genius at making mobile products people love. And again, looking at your vast experience, which we'll come to, I think it's safe to say you're somebody that people should listen to when it comes to product and product leadership. Maybe to kick us off, having your experience and obviously speaking to a lot of high-level product leaders through your work at Products That Count, what do you see are the common traits in effective product leaders?
Yes, that's a really great question. And the question, you have to sort of peel it back to first, a great product leader has a great team, right? That's one thing. So how do you build a great product team? And that's management. Then there's the visionary part of products. How do you make market leading products, category defining products? And then there's a new trend we're seeing in product right now, which is, I think, very similar to what happened in marketing 20 years ago with the emergence of digital advertising. If you ask like 15, 20 years ago, what's a CMO? People would have laughed, right? Like a CMO, like nobody knows what a CMO is. Like, marketing people, they do TV ads, right? That's what they do. It's not measurable. It's not necessarily impactful to the top line or to the bottom line. And look where CMOs are today. And I think the same thing is happening in product. When you ask today, what's a CPO? What's a chief product officer? Many people say, well, who knows what a CPO is? They produce sort of these, digital products. Nobody really understands what makes them successful. But in 10 to 15 years, I think the product function will be a very, very critical part of the C-suite. And so when it comes to great product leaders, it really is important to think through, the senior director, VP level, who are building teams, building products, and then the top level, the C-suite. What are the responsibilities of a chief product officer?
Yeah, that's a really, really interesting point, actually, because it's something I think over in Europe that we maybe look up to Silicon Valley too much and think that every company over there is very, very product-led. They know the function of product. They are structured effectively, which I suppose is not the case in every company.
Right, and the product function, when you look at different industries, it's already quite structured in the tech industry. Because digital products are basically what they do. But we see more and more that across all industries, in fintech, in healthcare, in retail, even in manufacturing and industrial, more and more there is a product function that's being created. And it's also interesting because it is replacing IT in large organizations as a key decision maker for what SaaS product or technology product to bring into enterprises.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, on that point as well, because obviously different contexts require different leaders and different skill sets. It is very common, more common than not, to come into an organization that's maybe in this transition or not, trying to work out really what they should be doing. What advice would you give to somebody, whether that's level specific or not, trying to help this transformation happen?
Yeah, well, the digital transformation, especially, in a COVID world, has accelerated. Some statistics said 7x, because now, like, I wrote a book a few years ago, it's right here, on how to build great products or what makes a great product. And at that time, what I said is, or the key, if you want, the core insight of the book is technology is an extension of ourselves. right? We wear smart glasses, smart watches, we hold a phone in our hand. And so when we think about a great product, we have to think about a great person, right? Because of that extension. But in a COVID world, things have changed, and we are now an extension of technology. Like, we are not able to communicate in person.
Yeah.
We are not able to, have like a lot of human to human connections. We have technology like Zoom and Slack and Amplitude and DigitalOcean and all these technology creating a platform, and we sort of connect to that platform, through that platform, to one another. And so we've become an extension of technology. So when you're a product leader and you're trying to help your organization accelerate their digital transformation, the best thing you can do is to tell them, like, the platform is burning. Like, you're either going to embrace technology, or this is not the right environment for me. Yeah. Like, product and digital and technology is now mission critical to every company, every Fortune 5000, every enterprise.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, I speak to a lot of junior mid-level PMs that really struggle because obviously they can't affect change on the vision strategic level. They can try, they can have the right mindset, but they can't obviously transform the organization. I think, as you said, there's maybe a point where you have to just say, this is not for me, or this role, this organization just isn't going to fit if I want to grow into an effective product leader.
Yes, and what we see is that most organizations especially with COVID, it's very polarizing, right? There's sort of two attitudes. There's the market leader attitude, who says, this is an opportunity for me. Yes, it's hard, but yes, I'm also going to be the rock, strengthen my culture, improve my products, redefine my category, to continue executing on a market leading strategy. And they advance at similar speed they were advancing before. And then you have everybody else who's been on a standstill for 6-9 months, and they've lost market share. And so the question really for these entry level, mid-level career folks is, who do you want to work for? Do you want to work for a market leader, or do you want to work for player number 2, number 3, number 10?
Yeah, that's such a good point. And one thing that I'm worried about is the implications of long-term remote and things like professional development. These are not being addressed, or things like strategic moves are not actually being addressed in many organizations. They've just pressed the pause button for a while. How do you think maybe product leaders should approach shifting their approach to managing culture, for example? Like, you talked about building great teams. Like, how do you do that now in a remote world?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And this is where, products that can actually be really helpful. I'm not, going to give you a pitch, but we have the category leading offering when it comes to helping your product team become a competitive advantage for your organization. We provide toolkits at pretty much every level of the organization to help really up-level your team, give them a sense of common language, common culture, and develop a culture of product excellence.
Nice.
I'm happy to talk about it more. You can go to leading.productsthatcount.com if you want to learn more about our offering, or you can email me, sc@productsthatcount.com. And that spells PRODUCTS products that count.
Excellent. I'm going to link that through as well when we send out the episode. Maybe shifting gears a bit. One problem that I find with I teach product managers. One challenge that I find particularly for female product managers is a big issue with imposter syndrome and lack of confidence. How as somebody well, to restart, it's unfortunately rare at the moment to have female product leaders at your level, is the reality. What specific maybe tactics and strategies do you feel, or what advice, I suppose, can you give product managers, female product managers particularly, to level up their career or sort of have the confidence to realize actually their ability in many cases?
Yeah, male or female, I think there's a couple of things couple of advice that I give to mid-level or early career professional. One is it's really hard work. So if the assumption is, which I see sometimes, I have a great degree, I work for a great company, I deserve a promotion. That's just not going to happen. It's a very competitive world. And so that's the first thing. It's a lot of hard work. The second thing is you have to link your impact to the top line. Often, and I was guilty of that myself, being trained as an engineer, we see the work and we fail to see the impact. And the only thing that matters is the impact. And so really leverage tools like an amplitude, blue dot, tools that will help you map out the impact that your feature had on the revenue line. Mm-hmm. I talk a lot about, and this is not a conversation for now, but I talk a lot about the product equation, which helps you do that. If you do that, you're able to map, numbers to KPIs, mm-hmm. and that's a huge part of building confidence for yourself, you see your impact, but also internally, so people are aware of the work you do. And then even if you do that, you could be a great project manager as opposed to a great product manager. So the difference between product and project manager, really I talk a lot about the product formula there, which is it's a very different mindset on what is the maybe more intangible impact of what I'm building. How are my users or my customers interacting with my product, and is that generating, market leadership? Is that helping my organization stand out as a product first organization, as a category defining organization? So there's just a lot of different aspects to growing and building your confidence. And it's about, hard work, number orientation, broader purpose. As far as, the inner confidence that, every young professional needs to develop, just remember that life is actually not linear at all. So you may be stagnant for a while, you may be rising fast for a while, and these two shall pass, right? It's not linear at all.
Yeah, it's excellent advice. And I actually love that idea as well of linking work to the top line. That I think is, ultimately, even if you're not in a properly product-led organization, there are things you can be doing, right, to measure the impact. And I think, as you said, it's not just external. Obviously, you want to demonstrate value, but also internal. And it's such a common problem that I see, as you said, whether female, male is not actually the problem. It is ultimately many people come into product saying, well, I'm not quite sure what I should be doing because maybe the environment's not there, and they're questioning that, or they simply don't, they just don't know what to do because they've never had repetitions, let's say, in it. I think it's excellent advice. I think final question from my side, just returning back to one of the topics you mentioned, as a maybe being selfish with this one. I really like the idea you talked about sort of technology being an extension of self. As a product leader, we need to be visionary, we need to be strategic, we need to sort of stay above the noise. What challenge? I mean, obviously technology is a challenge to that, retaining clarity and insight. Do you think that becomes harder in a remote world where you're maybe not able to observe, simple things like sitting on a train, observing people? interacting with your team, having those sort of off the cuff conversations. Is there anything that you have, have you seen that yourself? Have you countered that in any way?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things there. There's the fundamental, right? Like technology is an extension of ourselves. What does that mean, right? So the way I talk about it in my book and in general, as a framework, that product formula, I say, okay, so a human being, right, is mind, body, spirit. Mm-hmm. And so what's the mind, body, spirit for great technology products? And I look at, starting with the body role. We all want to look good, and we expect that our technology will be beautiful as well. But beauty is not, pretty pictures. It's what is beauty. And I went back to actually ancient history to look at how our best thinkers and mathematicians and philosophers define beauty. Mm-hmm. And it has to do with efficiency. It has to do with like a wow factor. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the spirit role. We all want to have meaningful lives and purpose. And we also expect from our technology that it's going to be very personalized. And so when we personalize, we also need to protect, our privacy. So what are the risks we're really protecting against? And what kind of personalization could really make a product stand out? And then finally, the mind role is all about learning, right? You're hosting this show because you want to learn, you want your audience to learn. We're all learning beings, and we want technology that's also going to be learning with us. And there's different ways to learn. You learn slow, you learn fast. So how do you get technology to learn slow and learn fast? So that element, back to your question about how you think about building great products now. I think in a world where we're disconnected from one another, it's even more important to go back to these core human elements for what makes a great product, and really sort of go back and say, yeah, the numbers may say that, right? My product equation looks like this, but my product formula, it has a slightly different composition, and I need to take that into account.
Awesome. I think that's an excellent place to finish. Really interesting analogy as well. I think I'm going to get a copy of your book after this. Thank you, Essie. It's been a real pleasure. A lot of really useful information in there that I think is going to be really, really helpful for our audience. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me. And yeah, great that you're doing this.
No problem. Should we send, if anyone wants to get in contact with you, or where should we send them?
Yes, sc@productsthatcount.com.
Awesome. And then I'll also link through to leading .products that count as well for anybody that wants to check that out. Thank you so much, Essie. It's been a pleasure.